What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. WrestleMania 38 is less than 5 weeks away, so why is the WWE struggling to sell tickets? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the desperate efforts WWE is making for this year's showcase of the Immortals, and why it's important they actually make it a success. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. This year's WrestleMania is the WWE's first opportunity to run a show at full capacity since WrestleMania 35. WrestleMania 36 was held at the WWE Performance Center after the pandemic forced the WWE to cancel the show at Raymond James Stadium, while WrestleMania 37 was held with a limited audience. And now the WWE is holding its show of shows over 2 nights, giving fans a chance to see one of the most stacked cards in history, including WWE Champion Brock Lesnar and Universal Champion Roman Reigns battling in a title unification match, a first ever for Mania, Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to the ring to battle Kevin Owens, and a 76-year-old Vince McMahon taking on SmackDown color commentator and former NFL kicker Pat McAfee. While the matches with Austin and McMahon haven't been confirmed, they seem all but confirmed, but despite these big matches and a number of others, WrestleMania still has thousands of seats remaining. Now compare this year's show with WrestleMania 32, which was also held at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, which featured an announced attendance of over 100,000 people. Although many believe the actual figure was around 80,000, it's still believed to be the largest crowd ever for a WWE show. This edition of WrestleMania wasn't exactly a must-see show on paper, but it did the trick in terms of putting butts in seats. This year's Mania is a long way off from matching WrestleMania 32's ticket sales. Dave Meltzer reported in the 28th February Wrestling Observer about ticket sales, saying, "The last WrestleMania numbers we had were from the last week with about 53,000 tickets out for both nights. A legit sellout would be just over 80,000, as the real number the last time they had WrestleMania at AT&T Stadium was 80,709, and that was sold out." The WWE doesn't seem to be doing all that well with the SmackDown before and Raw after WrestleMania either. The first April SmackDown and Hall of Fame show has 7,638 tickets out, and 4th April Raw, both at the American Airlines Center, has 8,728 tickets out at press time. A sellout for either night would be around 15,000. Now, it's worth noting that the WWE hasn't announced the Steve Austin vs Kevin Owens bout or the rumored one involving Mr. McMahon vs Pat McAfee. It's likely the Austin announcement will jumpstart sales, and as is usually the case, there will also be some last-minute ticket sales. But despite these possibilities, why is this year's WrestleMania struggling to sell tickets? Now, there are a number of reasons the WWE is struggling to sell tickets to WrestleMania this year. The first is fan burnout. Now, the event is being held over 2 nights, a situation which is likely to cause burnout for all but most of the die-hard fans. While a 2-evening card may be enjoyable for fans at home who don't like to sit through 7-hour bladder-busting shows, it's costly and time-consuming for fans to attend an entire weekend of wrestling, not to mention those fans attending SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and various events such as autograph sessions. Number 2, the pandemic. The second reason is the potential for the pandemic to return. While the pandemic appears to be slowing down again, that seemed to be the case over the last 2 years, with lockdowns occurring, it's likely some fans don't want to invest money in Mania tickets if they think the event will be cancelled or limited in seating. Likewise, international fans will have a tougher time getting to and from their home countries to attend WrestleMania. Number 3 is sluggish economy. Third, the economic crunch caused by the pandemic is still affecting many people, and the thought of spending thousands on WrestleMania tickets is cost prohibitive for people who might have gone before the pandemic led to economic hardship. Not everyone has suffered, and even those who have might make the trip to WrestleMania for a vacation. However, the WWE's policy of initially pricing tickets at high prices, some may say prices that gouge the WWE fans, then lowering prices for those who have balked at the initial cost, don't seem to be working this time around. While an argument can be made that the WWE's booking has alienated fans, WrestleMania tends to attract fans based on its name alone. While the case can be made that the WWE's booking is bad, many people attend or watch Mania much like people who don't follow the NFL tune into the Super Bowl because it's considered a big-ticket entertainment event on its own. But as we've discussed, this year's WrestleMania is important to the company for several reasons. The first is that it's all about the money. The WWE doesn't want WrestleMania to come up short in ticket sales. After all, running a stadium show costs considerably more than a smaller venue. Less ticket sales also mean less merchandise sales. The WWE wants to sell tickets for its big show, but this year the WWE has a long-term goal. Number 2. Image. The WWE Universe is familiar with Vinnie Mac saying it's all about the money, but this time around there's more at stake than the almighty dollar. Recall Vince McMahon's adage that image is reality. While the WWE's quest to sell out this year's Mania has plenty to do with making money with its biggest show of the year, WrestleMania's ticket sales are a major component of the WWE's long-range plan to take its image to the next level and establish itself as an entertainment medium on par with major sports organizations like the NFL and the NBA. They also want to expand into more stadium shows. The WWE has expanded a number of its premium live events, aka pay-per-views, into stadiums, which makes for great optics and ticket sales when the fans fill the stadium. Over the last few years, fans have seen the WWE expand its stadium shows beyond WrestleMania into Big Four events like SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble. This year, the WWE has already held Elimination Chamber at Saudi Arabia's Jeddah Superdome and plans to hold Money in the Bank at the Allegiant Stadium in Nevada, the same location as 2021 SummerSlam. A rumor has it that more stadium shows are coming in 2022, including one in the UK. If they succeed over 2 nights, it's more likely the WWE will continue marketing to large capacity stadiums. And number 4, its rights deals coming up. The WWE's image makeover has a lot to do with its upcoming contract negotiations for the rights to its programming. It's well known that cable stations and streaming services are willing to pony up for the dough for content, but not all content is seen the same. For example, the NFL is arguably the king of content because it not only delivers ratings, but it delivers the blue chip advertisers that make it worth paying for the rights to air games. This was evident last year when NBC passed on renewing its deal with the National Hockey League, as it seemed to feel that while the NHL was a strong product, it wasn't worth the extra money it wanted for its new deal. Instead, the NHL sold the rights to Warner Media. While it's unlikely the WWE can improve its image to that of the NFL, large stadium shows could go a long way towards making it seem big time, including to potential new advertisers. This improvement in image could also go a long way in separating the WWE from All Elite Wrestling, its biggest wrestling competitor in the US. If push came to shove, the WWE's advantage in image could give it the edge over AEW if wrestling became less desirable and there were less channels and/or streaming services interested in it. Why go with the Bush League promotion when you have the major leagues, at least in terms of sports entertainment? Or will WrestleMania sell out? Ticket numbers are always difficult to gauge because promoters fudge attendance numbers, a practice that became a bone of contention when the WWF claimed WrestleMania 3 sold out the Pontiac Silverdome, and writers such as Dave Meltzer heavily disputed it. There's also the practice of not selling every ticket due to obstructed views or closing of off-distance sections, so the camera crew has an easier time creating the illusion of a packed house. Regardless of how much the WWE plays with its numbers, you can count on the WWE eventually offering 2-for-1 deals to fill the stadium. The WWE may even paper the crowd with complimentary tickets to fill in any remaining empty seats. So when WrestleMania 38 arrives, you can count on seeing lots of fans. As we suggested, WrestleMania's success or limited success, as it's difficult to imagine the show being anything close to a failure, could have some long-term effects on whether the WWE takes things to the next level or stalls, or even stumbles. While WrestleMania 38 is going to look like a capacity crowd, the number of actual paid tickets will affect how the company is perceived and whether it continues its expansion of stadium shows. But there you have it, guys, a look at WWE's desperate moves to sell out WrestleMania 38. Why do you think they're having so much trouble this year? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.